In this tutorial, we'll take a quick look at adjusting the video clips further. And what we're going to use is the Adjust and the Applied Effects tabs. So for example, this clip right here, and I'll have to put the playhead over it. It's really dark. And it's kind of intentionally the way that I took this video. So I'm going to see if I can make it a little bit more visible. It might not be possible, but at least we can try. So if you have a clip that you like, but it's too dark or too light, then try changing it first before you discard it and refilm it, because you never know. So what I do is I go up here and I've got this list of different things that I can do to the video. So if I click on this arrow here, SmartFix understands and fixes your footage to help it look good. So it's kind of one of those click and see what happened types of buttons. So if I click apply, what it'll do is it'll analyze the clip, and it might take a while, but it'll hopefully analyze the clip and adjust it accordingly and then make our video look good. So it makes it a little bit brighter. It is a very dark clip, but it's not bad. It's better. Maybe gives it a kind of an interesting feel to it, but it's certainly not going to make it look like it was taken in daylight as opposed to nighttime. You'll also notice that you get this yellow line here showing it needs some rendering. So I'm going to do that right away. It'll only take me a few seconds to do that, and that will basically save the adjustment that I did, so when I create the video it won't have to render. Now if I want to further adjust it, I can click the playhead over it just so I can see it, and I can go here to color, and they're basically some click and choose buttons here. So whichever one I click on, it will apply that color to it. Oh, I'm doing it to that clip there. So what I have to do is click on the clip I actually want to change, because what I did is I changed this one there. You can see it needs to be rendered now as well. Okay, and so what it's done is it's turned it from regular green color to this kind of weird looking orangey reddy color as well. So I'm going to try it on this one here. I've got a variety of different ones I can do to try and make it look, well, I can make it look strange if I'm going for that alien planet kind of look. I can do that. I have lightness as well, so I can increase the lightness as well here and see what it'll do. I have saturation, so basically I'll get some really crazy stuff going on here. So it just depends on what you want. Vibrance, again, there's no sliders. Some of Adobe's software has sliders. They're just point and click kind of ideas. If I want to reset it, I just click on reset and it'll go back to its original there. So you can see what some of those look like. I've got different color ones here I can choose as well. Maybe I want to keep one of those. Makes it stand out a little bit more. I've got red, green, and blue that I can choose from, and you can play around with those as well. And again, I've got a reset button there as well. Gamma correction, that is kind of your brightness that you can play around with. And again, it's not going to make it look like it's in daylight, but you do have some control over it. Dark videos are really quite difficult to make look a lot better, but it's worth trying, and maybe you can make it some sort of surreal scene. So in lighting, you've got contrast and exposure and so on there. So that's playing around with video. Temperature and tint has to do with coloring as well, and it'll change the look of your video. Okay, so I've gone from a really dark looking picture to a rather surreal colored picture there. So this was my original video for this one, and that's the new look to it. Okay, so I need to render that. What I'm going to do first though is apply these effects. So I've got a couple different things that I can do here. I've got motion, which I can again drag these sliders up and down. So, I'm on this clip, so let's move this playhead over there. So one thing you have to be real careful to do is make sure you're actually viewing the clip you want to see, and the playhead has to be over top of it. So I did this scale thing where I drag this up and down so I can basically zoom in and out on the video. Rotation, I can rotate the video around. I can type in 0 here and it'll reset it. I can drag this up and down, or the slider up and down. I've got these rotate left buttons as well, so I can do 90-degree turns. And then I can change the anchor point here. So right now the anchor point is in the middle. If I change these numbers, it'll spin around on a different axis. Anti-flicker filter is basically if it has a flickering feel to it, you can increase or decrease that. So I just scaled it down a little bit, so I now have a border around it. The transparency opacity one basically allows you to fade in and fade out. So I'm going to click on this first clip here. And you can see I can access the same thing here. So I've got color balance, transparency, and motion that I can access here. I tend to use these ones up here. They're fairly easy to get to. So if I go to transparency, what I can basically do is fade it in and fade it out. So I'm going to fade this one in. And you can see it drags the opacity down to 0%. And the clip goes dark. And then as I go on, it'll gradually fade that video in. And at the end, I can do a fade out. So it's a real simple, quick and easy thing you can do. So if I go to this clip, I can choose a fade out. And you can see gradually that clip will fade out. So I've got all this rendering to do. So I'll hit enter and let that render. And it'll take a little bit of time, as you can see. But those are basically the applied effects and the adjustments that you can do to your video clips. You can see once they've rendered, they will turn green. And this one has already been rendered, of course. And that's some of the adjustments you can do to your video. So if you've got good daylight, then these adjustments, brightness, color, and so on, can really help your video. If you have fairly dark video footage, then you're going to get some surreal looks to it. There's not much else that you can do to this. Okay, so this video here, fairly bright. If I go here to lighting, you can see it brightens it up a fair bit. Looks a little bit like there's more light. As a better effect than what you're doing to the dark footage that you had there. So that's some of the adjustments that you can do there.